In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a simple workbench, and we're going to do it right now. So here we are in my garage, and I've already done a couple small projects on this house, and it has been kind of a nightmare to find my tools and nails and glue and saw blades and everything else because all of my stuff is right here. So I want to build a workbench right here. And that way I can have some storage underneath where I can put all my tools, I can have some storage up above and find all of my hardware that I need and all that. And I'm not gonna waste too much of your time, we're gonna get right into it, but just in case you wanted to know, this is not gonna be permanent because eventually I need to do some things in this garage. First of all, I'm not so sure that I love this pegboard. It is nice to have where you can, hang a bunch of stuff, but I think I want to rip it off, put drywall here, make sure it's insulated, put drywall back, make sure there's no issues, and do something else. The other thing is this garage floor. I'm gonna have to address it at some point, or I want to address it at some point and make it a little better. I also have some settling the foundation. So what I want to do is wait a couple years and see, because I just moved in here, see if this is sinking or if it's going to get worse and figure that out. It hasn't moved much over 30 plus years, but I want to just keep an eye on it over a couple seasons so then I can figure out what to do. I also don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars if I have to chip this up and re-pour a floor after just moving into this house. And if you are a regular viewer of my channel, you might be wondering if I'm going to do a shop upstairs, and that is not the plan as of right now, because I don't need a huge workshop. All of my projects are on my house, so really I'm going to be taking my tools and taking them around the house to do the projects. If I was into woodworking or building furniture or something, I might consider that, but I just need a small space to store my tools and maybe to make some cuts. So this is where it's going. That's it, I promise. Let's get into it. So my big plan is to start in this corner. I'm gonna come out here, I'm gonna put a saw right here, and then continue it over this way. And then this right here, I'm gonna kind of do like an L shape and come out to about right here. I just wanna make sure I have enough room opening this door. So the first thing I'm gonna do is figure out the height of the workbench. And anywhere between 36 inches, 42 inches, whatever's comfortable. If you do like precision work, soldering things or whatever, you might want it up here. But for me, I just want it at a good height to be able to make cuts and work on whatever I'm working, normal countertop height. I'm gonna go up just a little bit and make it 38 inches. That's right here. That feels pretty comfortable. Like I said, you can do whatever you want, but I'm gonna make mine 38 inches tall. So right in this corner, I'm gonna hold my tape down to the concrete. Unfortunately, I have this little jet out here. It doesn't have to be exact. If you want it exact, you can have somebody hold this, get a level. 38 is right here, but I'm gonna estimate, take off 3/4 because that's gonna be my plywood on the top. And I'm gonna go right about there. Now I'm gonna grab a long level and hold it to my mark, get it level, and mark a line. Just like that. So I am going to be recycling. I don't care if this is messed up, what it looks like, because this is kind of temporarily permanent. The entire frame is going to be 2x4s, and the only thing I bought was 2 sheets of 3/4 plywood, nice sanded plywood for the top. The rest is going to be scrap. So I took a measurement of where I want to stop my bench right here because I want to do something a little special for where the saw is going. And it was about 7 feet, and this happens to be 7 feet. So my first piece, I don't even have to cut. I'm just going to hold it to this line. And the cool thing about this pegboard is I can see for sure where all of these studs are. So I know that I'm definitely going to get into a stud. So I'm going to use construction screws instead of nailing this, so it'll be easier to take apart. If I want to take it apart, just hold this to the line and screw it to the wall. change that battery. And just to make sure that we're putting this level, that looks perfect. Perfect. Another stud right here. Now these are 3-inch construction screws, so I'm just going to put one in each stud, and I think that'll be fine. So now we have the height of the workbench, and now I want to figure out the width. So I have my vacuum here as an example of what I want to store under here. This might be the biggest item. My old workbench was 26 inches deep, and as you can see, that would work. This would just stick out a little bit and that'd be fine. But I finally bought myself a brand new compound miter saw. I've been saying it for years that I needed a bigger saw, and I finally bought one. So because it's so big, I'm gonna have to bring this out a little further. So we're gonna make the whole workbench 32 inches wide, and that'll give me plenty of storage underneath. And this whole space right here under the window is going to be designated for the saw. I'm going to drop this down over here so that the height of the saw, the top of the saw, is flush or even with the entire workbench. That way if I have long stuff that I want to cut, it'll help hold it and make a nice cut. So I'm going to bring a piece out here, measure 32 inches. That's where the actual width is going to be, but then I want to subtract 3 inches, 1, 2, 3, because the width of a 2x4 is 1.5 inches, so 1.5 inches plus 1.5 inches is 3 inches, because I want to do a double right here, and I'll support it down to this sill, and that way this will be nice and strong, and I won't have to put any legs in here. This will all be open unless I want to do some shelving or something, and then I'll take care of this. My 2-foot level, that where it needs to be. Screw in here. I'm going to start one screw right here. Hold it even at the top. Hold it somewhat level. There's my width, 32 inches. So my double's going to go from this wall right to here. And as long as the building is square, this should all work out to make the workbench square. This first piece was 7 feet, so I should be able to cut 2 at 7 feet. But to make this easier, and I'm gonna need a piece here anyways, I want to put a level on here. Then I can measure down to the concrete. And I can put this piece in, so that way, when I put these here, I'll have something to sit on. So my measurement is 34 inches. I'm gonna take 2 2x4s and put them right here. But what I'm also going to do is cut them both back 1.5 inches, and on the bottom I'm going to use pressure treated, because anytime you have wood sitting against concrete, it can definitely absorb water, and this way it'll just kind of at least make it last longer. So 2 at 34 minus 1.5 inches, 32.5 with a piece of PT on the bottom. Look at this, the piece that I'm going to use, this looks like it was a leg for my old workbench. And you can see what I'm talking about with the water absorbing into here. It's going to take 10 years at least to have it start affecting this, in my opinion. But that's why I'm putting the PT on there. So I won't, it'll absorb, but it won't rot away. Oh, take a tiny bit off here. 3 inches by the width of a 2x4, 3.5. So now I'm going to use 2.5-inch screws, just so I don't go out one side and have a nice screw to catch on. I attach my PT right here, but I don't want to split it when I put some screws in, so I'm going to pre-drill it. right there. Just put this under here for now. I'm not going to attach it yet. This is just going to help me hold those pieces up. I'll hold this back 1.5 inches, roughly, and then I can attach it right to this. Hey, look, we got some holes already. That worked out. And next, just rest it right there and attach it at the end. Make sure I don't hit that other screw. So the old 2x4s are a little higher here. They're a little bigger than the other 2x4. So I'm gonna end up planing this a little bit when I go to put the top on. But as long as these are held down tight to here, I will attach them. So these are going into the end grain. That's not really gonna bite that well, but it's nice and flush. So I'll attach this together and then I'll get some screws going this way into this. I'm going to do some 2.5-inch screws here. Get this all attached. Just try and get it even. Now right over here, I'm going to put a piece down to this sill just to support this. Make it nice and strong. 16 5/8. I'm just going to plumb this down. That's where my 2x4 is going. Just get one screw up into the bench. One screw down into the sill. And gravity will do the rest. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. That's 16 7/8. This is also going to be what I use to attach shelving if I do a shelf right here, which I think I'm gonna. Nope. So there's another example of the old 2x4 being thicker. So I'm going to notch the old 2x4 so I can get this piece in. So here's my brand new compound miter saw, and it's pretty big. So I just want to take all kinds of measurements to make sure that I'm good. The depth measurement came from me having this all the way back and then measuring to this front right here. I want this to sit right at the edge of the bench, and then I measured back here. 32 inches is right there, so that gives me some room with either putting a hose here or putting the supplied bag. Should be fine. I'm gonna make it 5 inches bigger than the actual saw, and same thing on the opposite side. And now we need to get the height of this right here. So I have this on plywood, flat surface, and then I have my 4-foot level here, and I can just take my tape measure and bring it down like this. And this is 3 5/8 from here. Check the other side, should be the same. I want to drop this part down 3 5/8, and I have to remember the thickness of the plywood that I'm putting there, which is 3/4. So I'll make some marks over there and start building that out. So I can do 3 5/8 from the top of the framing, and then since I'm doing 3/4 up here and 3/4 here, I should be fine to actually put my piece right here across. And then that will drop this down exactly where it needs to be. So as an example, that's a little confusing. I have this plywood on top of that line where the framing would be, and then I got another piece of 3/4 right here. And then if I measure, let's see, it's 3 5/8. But before I go crazy, I'm actually gonna plane this down a little bit just to get this tight over here, just so I know that I'm good. I'm gonna take a measurement for here, and I could cut this at 32, but I'm gonna hold it 1.5 inches back to 30 1/2 so that this, when I put this piece across this way, it's the same as this one right here. I'll just make sure this is plumb before we attach that piece. Before I do anything, I just want to check that. And as you can see, that's a little bit low. So I'd rather it be lower than higher. I can take that piece off and readjust it, but I can also shim the saw. Might just take that piece off and adjust it, bring it up just a little bit. Okay, all right, I adjusted it up just a little bit, and I'm holding it level where it's gonna be. That is pretty darn close. I'm gonna call it good. So I know I'm good over here. This height is perfect now. I'm gonna measure from here over to here, whatever size I need for my saw. Mine just so happens to be 35. I'm gonna give myself plenty of room. So I'll make a mark right here. So now I know where I'm gonna start it here, but I wanna get a level line across so I know where to put it height-wise. I'm gonna mark this plumb so I have a nice clear mark where to start that 2x4. Hold it level. It's resting on top of that. That is the start. And then I can take this over here and continue that line. Now I need to decide where to put this part of the workbench, how far to go. That's pretty good right there. I want to leave some room right there, probably hang my ladder up. Yeah, 6 feet from this line. Since I want to build it all the same way, I'll subtract 1.5 inches for this 2x4 and hold it past that line 1.5 inches. And that's actually where I want to start the 2x4. Right into the studs. My level right here. There's a tiny bit of a bow in here, so I'm gonna take this screw out. Screw at an angle right here. I'm gonna try. Oh yeah. Too much actually. There we go. We're gonna put this right here to the original plumb line so that this piece can sit on it. Now I have my 32-inch piece going this way, the width of the entire workbench, and I'll attach it over here. Now I can hold this where I want the leg, hold this level, 34.25. Minus 1.5 inches for the PT. I'll just put this under the same way as the other side. I'll make sure it's level. Good. So I cut a piece at 32 inches, the width of the whole workbench, and this is gonna be 6 foot plus 1.5 inches. I could cut this back if I wanted exactly 6 feet, but this is fine. So now I'm gonna cut the fronts the same as this, which should be 70.5. So 2 of those, they'll sit right here. Now I can take one of these right here and then attach it right here. I'm gonna attach it to the front so there's not too much weight on this, so I can get a measurement for my leg here. Well, I guess this is the thing about trying to use scrap wood and have it all be the same, because this is a new 2x4, this is a new 2x4, but I think this is like a premium board or something like that. But there's a little lip, I'm gonna have to shave that down too. No big deal, but something to keep in mind. Well, that's perfect. I guess I don't even need anything here. Just kidding. 34.5. Minus 1.5 inches, 33. 33. plumb. Perfect there. Perfect there. So now over here, I'm going to do the same thing that I did over here, and we'll make sure that the height is good before we move on. Another thing you got to worry about with scrap wood, all twisted. And then I'll put this piece in, and then shave them both down if I have to. And then we'll do 2.5-inch screws all the way down. Perfect. I can put this piece in against the wall here. 32 1/4. A little tight. Before I put this piece on here and then put the plywood on, what I'm going to do is take a measurement and rest a 2x4 right on this sill, and then I'll level it this way. It should be the same as this, 30.5. Once I plumb this, I'll check that, and then the same on the other side. Triple check for plumb. Perfect. So now I check this, make sure it's what I wanted, 35. Check this out here, and that's 35 1/8. So bring it in a little bit. Still 35 1/8. I got to give it a good hip check. Basically, I want this the same as the back, which is going to be good right there. And then, just in case something went wrong, we're going to check for square before I go attaching these two benches together. That's pretty good. Now, I can cut a piece at 35 for right here and right here. Now this, if I get this piece in, hopefully both of these legs are plumb. Check this one. That's a little out. Hopefully this is out the same way. Yep. So I should be able to kick the whole thing this way. Maybe just that. Perfect. And perfect. And then when I put another piece in this way, when I do shelving over there, that'll kind of hold everything together. That's the plan anyways. Now I'm going to put a shelf underneath where the saw is going to go. I'll use some 1 3/4 screws to attach this. So just doing that already tighten this thing way up. So awesome. Now I'll cut a sheet for where the saw is going. And then I can put it right up there. I think I'll be good not to put any support in between here. Saw's heavy, but not that heavy. Nice. Ah, shucks. Flipping it. There you go. See how it's going to work. So now, since I made this a little bit wider, when I go all the way this way, I don't have to worry about smashing my hand or crushing my finger right here. That's good. And on the back here, I ended up bending this bag a little bit. If I wanted to use that, I'll probably hook up some kind of vacuum system or dust collection system, but just made it. So we should be good. And I'm just gonna attach it because this is pretty much gonna stay here. All right, now that that's set up, I can actually use it to cut these pieces. Should have done that from the start, huh? I'll put a piece under here. Plumb a line down so I know where it's going. Right there. Nice. So over here, I'm gonna keep this all open for big stuff like my vacuum, a trash barrel, that kind of thing. But over here, I'm gonna do another shelf so I can store a bunch of stuff in here. I'm gonna do it at the same height as this shelf. So what I'll do is I'll just add a piece here, a nailer, and then I'll put a piece in the front, and then put pieces on top of the sill going this way, and then I'll put another piece from here to here, and this piece will hold this leg where it needs to be. Now I'm going to put some pieces in this way, and I'm going to put my tape right here. I'm going to mark 15 1/4, like this, 31 1/4. It's right before the 32, so every 16 inches. This is 16 on center. Now I'm going to mark on the sill the same way, hooking on. I'll put this right on the mark. Right where it needs to be. Hold it straight up and down. I could also use a square on the back here, just to get it where I need it. I think I'll be fine though. And then, because going into end grain is not gonna bite as well, I'm just gonna put one screw this way. Sweet. And then down here, I'll do one screw down into the sill, but I actually have a stud right here, so I'll actually do one into the stud. Now I'm going to do the shelf underneath, and remember, I'm trying to use up all my scrap wood, so I'm going to piece it. I'm going to put one piece the long way, and then there'd be a seam in the middle. I'm going to go tight to the other piece of plywood there, 70 inches. Not saving this piece of scrap. Over here, I'm going to just notch out this 2x4. How did I do? Not bad. Bring this out like this, and then just make a mark. Obviously this one right here, this one here, 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 and here. Then I can slide it back. Before I attach it, I'm going to take a measurement and cut the one for the front. Now I can screw the plywood down. I'll just go every 16 inches. Now we have a shelf. And now that that's done, it's much easier to put screws in it and build the whole thing, and without this on, and now I can put the top on here. And this one I will use a square. Mark a line. I always like to have it just a little bit past. That way when I put my screw in and it sucks it in, it should go up to the line. I'm actually going to do one screw down like this, try and suck it in. Perfect. And then I can do one like this. And I'm not snapping lines because I don't want chalk all over this. You pay a lot of money for plywood and then you get this. Whatever. Nice. Get it where I want it and put a couple screws in. There. And I don't think I need screws in the middle. I'll keep it just like that. Then we're gonna fill these pieces in and do the plywood the same exact way we did over there. Good. That looks awesome. And one reason why I wanted this so strong is so that I could take my step stool and get right up here and possibly store some stuff up here all the way down. That one's just as strong, so even up in this corner, there's just a lot of height here, so I want to take advantage of it in the future. And as far as this corner goes, I did say that I was going to do an L shape, and a lot has changed while I've been doing this, and I guess I'm kind of shooting from the hip on this one and seeing what is going to work best. And I think over here, because I had to make this wider for the saw, I think if I do an L shape, even if I bring it like to here, it's going to be a little, I don't know, too much. And I had like an L shape at my last house, and getting stuff in the corner, especially if I do a shelf up here, is just gonna kind of be tough. So I have a different plan for this space right here. Building this workbench was not a hard thing, but I am so excited to put all of my stuff where it belongs so I can find it, so I can actually work on the house and not have to spend a half an hour or an hour gathering all my tools. So this is gonna make an absolutely huge difference. And this is what I ended up doing over here. All my levels, clamps, tool belt, all my fasteners, my screws, my nails, and all my bits and stuff. And this worked out great. The extra depth actually really worked out because I can put stuff that I don't use as much kind of behind this. So there's like 2 layers of stuff. So if I take that stuff out, on the rare occasion that I do use it, it's not going to be a huge deal. And then I kept all of the things that I use regularly close at hand so I can just grab it and go. And I'm sure this is going to be changed around multiple times, but this is an awesome start. I'm loving it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you had to build a workbench like this, I hope the video helps. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. In this video, I'm going to show you how I built, cut. It's going to be really easy. So check it out. Background in to what I'm thinking. Oh, you're filming. Now I needed to just... I swear to God, today is a day. I'm so funny! I'm sure there's an easier way to do this. I can't think of it right now, though. Now I'm gonna cut a... Screw it off. Yep, as I suspected. Hit the other screw. Don't go anywhere, no! Oh, that didn't work. It's the land of scrap wood. Twisted scrap wood. Good thing I have a fire pit. No good! Actually, no. Oh my God. You know what? I gotta stop somewhere. We'll use this.